Wow, Signalgate just got a hell of a lot worse after Tulsi Gabbard and the rest of these MAGA stooges were asked very pointed, direct questions under oath. And Tulsi Gabbard ended up betraying Donald Trump in one short answer. All that coming up right now. As you may not know, The Atlantic released the text this morning that Tulsi Gabbard and the rest of them said were not classified. Here is to hear is Tulsi Gabbard confronted with the fact that she lied in her testimony the previous day.
Member, my answer yesterday was based on my recollection or the lack thereof on the details that were posted there. I was not, and what was shared today reflects the fact that I was not directly involved with that part of the Signal chat and replied at the end reflecting the effects, the very brief effects that the National Security Advisor had shared.
So it's your testimony that less than 2 weeks ago, you were on a Signal chat that had all of this information about F-18s and MQ-9 Reapers and targets on strike, and you in that 2-week period simply forgot that that was there. That's your testimony?
My testimony is I did not recall the exact details of what was included there.
That was not your testimony. Your testimony was that you were not aware of anything related to weapons packages, targets, and timing.
Lie, she got caught in a lie, I do not recall is basically like I'm lying to you right now. So this is what she said yesterday.
Before the attack took place.
Senator, I can attest to the fact that there were no classified or intelligence equities that were included in that chat group at any time.
Yesterday, I could 100% guarantee there was no classified information in that chat. But today, it's like they thought the reporter wouldn't release it. Then, when the reporter does release the information, the response is, I misremembered, which just doesn't add up. Tammy Duckworth calls Peter Hecht a liar and is rightly furious, saying this is clearly classified information that was recklessly leaked, potentially putting our pilots in danger. She insists he should resign in disgrace immediately, and I completely agree. Fox News even cut away from the hearing because things were going so badly for Tulsi Castell and other MAGA supporters. Before we dive into that moment, if you appreciate independent media like this video, hit subscribe and help support the push for pro-democracy voices.
I deployed 3 times to combat in service to this nation. I learned in that time in service that responsibility is core to leadership. You accept responsibility when things go wrong. You admit mistakes. You set the standard from the very top. It is completely outrageous to me that administration officials come before us today with impunity. No acceptance of responsibility. Excuse after excuse after excuse, while we send our men and women downrange to do incredibly difficult, incredibly dangerous things on our behalf. And yet, nobody is willing to come to us and say this was wrong. This was a breach of security and we won't do it again. It is outrageous and it is a leadership failure, and that's why...
All right, so we are going to leave the House Intelligence Committee hearing there with the intel.
All right, we're going to cut away from this hearing because it's not going well for us. And we don't want the American people to see just how unqualified and foolish Trump's administration officials are. Right after Fox cut away, Crow actually called for Hecht's resignation, which is absolutely deserved. I want to go back to something from yesterday. Do you remember when Mike Waltz suggested that Jeffrey Goldberg, the reporter from The Atlantic, somehow managed to infiltrate the Signal group chat where the president expressed something? I've got a screenshot of that for you.
The president expressed complete confidence in you today and his entire cabinet. But how did a Trump-hating editor of The Atlantic end up on your Signal chat?
You know, Laura, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but of all the people out there, somehow this guy who has lied about the president, who has lied to Gold Star families, lied to their attorneys, and gone to Russia hoax, gone to just all kinds of links to lie and smear the president of the United States, and he's the one that somehow gets on somebody's contact and then gets sucked into this group.
Is someone in your...
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but here's something that feels like one. Check out this screenshot of the actual group chat. It clearly shows that Mike Waltz added you to the group. Should I say it again? Mike Waltz added you to the group. This isn't some conspiracy theory. You're just clueless for adding someone to an unsecured group chat where war plans were being discussed. And here's Tulsi Gabbard saying something that I know really annoys Trump.
Director Gabbard, is Russia a friend or a foe? Are they our friend or our adversary?
They are an adversary.
Thank you.
This is definitely not going to sit well at the White House. She had to say that under oath. And I actually appreciate that she did, because it's true, but it's definitely not the stance of the Trump administration. I'm sure, more than anything, this is going to be what ticks Donald Trump off the most today. Just so you know, the White House is in chaos right now because J.D. Vance just canceled all public events. Greenland? Gone from the schedule, the nuke visit, canceled. Even the dog sled championship, which you might remember we covered in a video a couple of days ago, where J.D. Vance's wife seemed like she was AI generated while posting a video about how excited they were for the dog sled event. Well, that's been canceled too, all because of the fallout. They don't want to be in front of cameras until everything either calms down or they can get their stories straight. You tell me, which is more likely to happen first? I don't think they can talk their way out of this one. Honestly, as one reporter pointed out, the only thing left is a quiet visit to a space base on Friday. No photo ops, no crowds, no explanation. I don't think they even need an explanation. And to wrap this up, here's a reasonable question. Was Pete Hegseth drinking on the job when all of this went down? Let me know in the comments what you think Pete Hegseth was up to. Or not up to. My guess? Some alcohol might have been involved.
Additionally, the main person who was involved in this thread that a lot of people want to talk to is Secretary of Defense Hegseth. And a lot of questions were brought up regarding his drinking habits in his confirmation hearing. To your knowledge, do you know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Radcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
No, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to... I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. You want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community...
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time.
Why are you focusing on the good work the CIA is doing when you're focusing on the fact that we put our military in jeopardy and that we put our allies in jeopardy? And that we probably won't ever get shared intelligence from our allies. Again, why aren't you talking about that? Yeah, Pete Hegseth has a drinking problem. He might have a drinking job, but it's clear he also has a drinking issue, and it's a perfectly reasonable question to ask. Of course, they won't answer it, but anyone with at least a little bit of common sense should be asking this. When someone says, "I won't take the job if it means I can't drink," that's something only someone who probably should be sober would say. As someone who is sober, I can tell you that's a red flag.